The hidden rulers. What if I told you that the most powerful family in Canada doesn't own flashy tech startups, oil fields, or even sports empires? Instead, their empire is built on something far more valuable. Not gold, not oil, not land, but information itself. Yes, in a world where knowledge is power, one Toronto family has mastered the art of owning, shaping, and distributing information. They don't just have billions, they control how billions are made and spent. Yes, I'm talking about the Thompson family of Toronto. They are not just the richest in Toronto, not just the richest in Canada, but one of the most quietly influential families in the world, with a fortune of more than 70 billion US dollars. But here's the twist. They live quietly, almost invisibly, while holding the keys to one of the world's largest information empires. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of secrecy, mystery, and influence to uncover how the Thompsons became Canada's hidden royal dynasty and how they continue to shape the global economy without most people even realizing it. The humble beginnings. Every empire has a beginning. For the Thompsons, it wasn't Silicon Valley, Wall Street, or Hollywood. It was something far less glamorous, a tiny radio station in northern Ontario. In 1931, Roy Thomson, a man of modest background, bought that radio station. To outsiders, it seemed like a small local business. But Roy wasn't thinking small. He had a simple but powerful philosophy: control the news, and you control the narrative. From that one station, he expanded rapidly, buying newspapers across Canada. His crown jewel was The Globe and Mail, Canada's national newspaper. It gave him influence over public opinion, politics, and business on a massive scale. Roy's ambition didn't stop at Canadian borders. He set his eyes on the United Kingdom, eventually acquiring the legendary Times of London. By then, he wasn't just a Canadian businessman. He was known worldwide as the Baron of Fleet Street. This was the seed of the Thompson Empire. But what his descendants would build from it, that was something far greater than Roy himself could have imagined. The shift to digital power. When Roy passed away, his son Kenneth Thompson took the reins. Kenneth wasn't just a caretaker, he was a visionary. He understood something long before the rest of the world did. The future wasn't in ink and paper. The future was in digital information. So while other media moguls clung to newspapers and printing presses, Kenneth quietly began selling off many of the family's print assets. Instead, he doubled down on data, legal databases, financial information, and global news services. This move set the foundation for the family's biggest power play, the merger with Reuters in 2008. With that single decision, the Thompson Empire transformed into Thomson Reuters, a global giant controlling information pipelines for law, finance, media, and corporations worldwide. The Empire of Information. Here's where things get fascinating. Think about your daily life. When a lawyer argues a case, when a banker makes a billion-dollar trade, when a journalist reports breaking news, or when a CEO negotiates a corporate merger, behind the scenes, there's a very good chance they're using Thomson Reuters platforms. That's the real power of the Thompsons. They don't just own businesses, they own the infrastructure of global knowledge. Their private holding company, Woodbridge, based in Toronto, controls nearly 70% of Thomson Reuters. From this quiet office, the Thompsons shape how the world sees, interprets, and acts on information. Think about it. Money flows where information leads, and the Thompsons, they are the gatekeepers. David Thompson, the invisible billionaire. Today, the head of the family is David Thompson, grandson of Roy. With a net worth of more than $70 billion, he is not just the richest Canadian, he's among the wealthiest people on Earth. But unlike other billionaires, David isn't a showman. He doesn't own a space company like Elon Musk. He doesn't buy social media platforms like Mark Zuckerberg. He doesn't flash yachts and mansions like tech tycoons. Instead, David lives quietly in Toronto, avoiding interviews, rarely making public appearances, and keeping his personal life behind a curtain of secrecy. That's what makes him, and the entire family, so unique. They are everywhere, and yet nowhere. Their power comes not from being loud, but from being invisible. Why information equals power? Let's pause for a second. Why does information matter so much? Why does controlling it make the Thompsons so powerful? The answer is simple. In today's world, money follows knowledge. Investors don't make decisions without data. Lawyers can't win cases without legal records. Governments can't govern without access to reliable information. And all of this, the raw material of modern decision-making, flows through the systems and platforms controlled by Thomson Reuters. So while other billionaires are chasing after shiny tech, the Thomsons have secured the ultimate monopoly, the monopoly over knowledge itself. The lifestyle of Canada's richest family. Now, here's something that may surprise you. For a family worth tens of billions, the Thomsons are far from flamboyant. You won't see them flaunting private jets on Instagram or throwing celebrity parties. Their wealth is reflected instead in quiet luxury, private estates, art collections, and carefully chosen investments. David Thomson, for example, is known to be an avid art collector, holding works worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The family owns lavish properties in Toronto and abroad, but they don't parade them. To them, wealth isn't about showing off. It's about control, stability, and legacy. The hidden influence on Canada's economy. Now here's where it gets truly interesting. In Canada, very few major decisions are made without crossing paths with the Thomson Empire. Whether it's through the Globe and Mail, their stakes in financial services, or the global reach of Thomson Reuters, the family has its fingerprints on nearly every corner of the Canadian economy. Their influence isn't loud. They don't directly run for office or lobby publicly. Instead, they shape the environment in which decisions are made. That's a level of influence that politicians and CEOs envy. Criticism and controversy. Of course, no family this powerful escapes criticism. Some accuse the Thomsons of creating a near monopoly over Canadian media. Others question the influence they wield behind closed doors. There are whispers that their secrecy isn't just about humility, it's about avoiding scrutiny. After all, when you control the pipelines of information, you also control what gets amplified and what gets buried. But perhaps that's exactly why they've survived so long at the top. While flashier billionaires crash under public pressure, the Thomsons remain quietly untouchable. The lessons of the Thomsons. So what can we learn from them? First, long-term vision beats short-term hype. While others chased quick profits, the Thomsons played the long game, shifting into digital information decades before it became mainstream. Second, real power doesn't need attention. They've proven that influence isn't about fame, it's about control. And finally, knowledge is the ultimate currency. Whoever controls the flow of information controls the flow of money, politics, and even history itself. The modern aristocrats. In many ways, the Thomsons are Canada's modern aristocracy. They don't wear crowns or sit in castles, but they wield power that even kings would envy. They are the invisible rulers, the whisperers behind the curtain, the quiet architects of Canada's economy and beyond. The power of quiet giants. So, next time you think of billionaires, don't just picture tech moguls or oil barons. Remember the Thomsons of Toronto, the richest family in Canada, and perhaps the most quietly powerful family in the world. They don't chase the spotlight because they don't need it. Their empire isn't built on noise, it's built on information, the most valuable resource of our time. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all. Real power doesn't shout, real power whispers. If this story opened your eyes to a world you didn't know existed, then let's keep uncovering more hidden dynasties together. Hit that like button if you found this fascinating, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next deep dive, and share this video with someone who loves uncovering the hidden forces shaping our world. Because trust me, this is just the beginning.